What's up, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys week number 4 in my 365 movie challenge. This is where I attempt to watch 365 films in just 1 year. Pretty hard task, but I'm trying it out. So I'm documenting everything on the way, so I'm going to be telling you guys what I watched this past week. Of course, like I mentioned in previous videos, these videos are 1 week behind because I like to keep all my reviews on the podcast, current, and I'll talk about those ones next week. So let's move into it. So first up, we have Cat People from the 40s. This one was pretty solid. Not the best movie in the world. Definitely a little dated. It came out in the 1940s. A lot of the involvement of the sexuality is very suggested. It's not up front and in your face like modern films would be. So that becomes, it's a little bit of getting used to, especially since the film is a lot about sexuality or, suggested sexuality, about a woman who is afraid that if she has sex with her husband, she's going to turn into a cat. Kind of weird, bizarre. Technically, it has, quite the achievement for what I have heard is the first jump scare. It's a great scene, well done, blueprint for future jump scares. Now, I'm not 100% sure if it was the very first, but it at least gets credit as the very first, according to the people that I've heard talk about it in different, film documentaries and stuff like that. Overall, solid, not the best, give it about a 6 out of 10. Then moving on, we have the Cat People from the 1980s, and this one I thought was a little bit better. The sexuality is definitely way more up front and center. You have Malcolm McDowell in this film. The casting was really, really good. The sexuality was, really in your face, and, it's much more visual. It's a very visual film. It has a lot of great scenes, a little bit too long and a little ridiculous, and I felt like it was kind of cheesy, and it definitely wasn't going for that cheese factor, but it feels like kind of a bigger film. It was alright. It wasn't bad. Not one that I'll run back to a lot. It's one of those films that you kind of watch once and you're kind of done. You don't really see another reason to check it out. There's some incestuous stuff going on, which is definitely always uncomfortable, and a good technique to make the audience feel a little bit uneasy. So I give that one about a 7 out of 10. Then we have My Little Eye from 2002. This one was okay. There's a bunch of people in a house. It's kind of like a reality TV show. There's cameras everywhere. If they stay in for 6 months, then they all get $1 million. If one person leaves, then nobody gets anything. For the time, it's definitely a little bit dated. Anytime you're dealing with, technology and, servers and internet and streaming online in 2002, the technology today is going to make that seem really dated and kind of a lot of nonsense with the stuff that they're saying. It was an okay concept, but it wasn't super good. I give it about a 5 out of 10. And then we have Carrie from 2002. This is the TV remake, and honestly, I didn't hate this movie. I've heard a lot of bad things over the year, and I did think that it was pretty solid, mainly because of the casting. You got Angela Bettis, who was 29 when she played Carrie in this film. I thought she did a great job. Then you have Emily DeRaven, who is kind of the mean girl. She played Claire in Lost. She's Australian. She hides her accent really well. And of course you have the wonderful, very attractive Catherine Isabel, who kind of plays a little bit of a dummy in this one. But it's cool to see all these different actors and actresses in this film. Overall, there's a lot of CGI in the end and stuff. Not the greatest movie in the world. No, can't even hold a candle to the original Carrie. It's one of my favorite horror films of all time. But for a TV remake, not bad. I give that one about a 6 out of 10. Then we have a film called Frail from 2002. Really, really dug this one. Super good. I'm not going to say too much about it because I'll probably review it sometime in the future, more in depth. Basically about a father who gets a vision from God, or so we think, and he basically convinces his sons that God wants him to rid the world of these demons who are disguised as regular people. Very, very, very good stuff. I love this movie. Super solid. I give that one a 9 out of 10. Next up, we have Resident Evil from 2002 as well. This one was pretty solid. I remember it being really good when I first seen it as a kid. Then watching it a few years ago, I didn't think it was really that good, and then now watching it again, I thought that it was a little better than I thought last time. So I'm kind of up and down with this film. No, it's not like the video games, which the video game is like my favorite game of all time, the first Resident Evil. But it has its moments. It has its nods to the video game. It's just a different story, and if you can kind of wrap your head around it, and I guess kind of get into the action elements of it, some of the CGI, it's not bad. It's definitely not a bad movie. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit more than I normally thought I would, normally did last time. I give that one about a 7 out of 10. And then finally for this part, week number 4, we have Ghost Ship. Ghost Ship is a movie that I've heard nothing but negative things about, except for the end. The beginning is good. I always say that. Beginning is good, then it goes straight downhill. I wouldn't say it goes straight downhill. I would say it is a slow decline downhill. It's not too bad. I definitely enjoyed it. It kind of took me back to that, like, 2002 era where, the mainstream horror films kind of had a budget. You think of stuff like House on Haunted Hill and 13 Ghosts and all these different films that came out around that time. And they're kind of big, This one's set on a boat. It feels like it's kind of a big movie, and I kind of miss that. It's definitely not super good, but there was certain things that I liked about it. It has a creepy atmosphere at times. Really likable cast at times, some better than others, but overall I just thought the story was kind of weak, just not very good. Give this one a 6.5 out of 10. So that wraps it up for week 4, guys, as some asshole decides to rev his car real loud outside. See you guys next time with week number 5. Peace.